Hello and welcome back to Unobtainium Coins and Collectibles. In this episode, we're going to discuss the question, what would happen if you could no longer buy silver? Would that make copper the new silver? Let's hang out a little bit and we're going to discuss this. But before we get started, if you could thumbs up this video, that would be awesome. We really appreciate your support. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do so, as we're going to continue to bring you gold and silver news over the coming months. Now, one of the reasons why I think that silver could disappear off the market is because it kind of already has at one point. About 3 years ago, in January of 2021, a group of Redditors and online supporters, mainly with Wall Street Bets, all got together and decided to do a silver squeeze on the market. And they coordinated a buying effort which basically bought a lot of physical silver off a lot of the exchanges and bullion dealers. Well, this happened throughout the week, last week of January, and it culminated on a Friday. Well, when the dealers leave the market on Friday, whenever they sell any silver, they have to have an opposite position. So they have a long out to their short, and vice versa. It basically protects their sale. So in case the price of silver drops or increases, they have a reverse position to balance out the transaction. Well, these dealers went into the weekend, and all of a sudden this buying just kept pouring in, and they had no way to hedge their positions. So almost every single dealer, at least everyone that I saw, put sold out or just basically postponed silver buying. And the only place at that time that you could buy silver was on eBay or on the Facebook marketplaces, and those prices skyrocketed. And so this went on going into that next Monday. Prices went over $30 an ounce for silver, and the market was pretty steady for a good few days. And then finally the banksters got in there and pressed the price and basically slammed it back down. But for a brief period of time, this all disappeared. Now let's talk about copper. It is an industrial metal, and it has uses in almost every facet of electronical development, construction, transport. It's used in just about everything, and it continues to be utilized more and more each year. And you'll see on this graph here from 2010 to 2022, usage of refined copper continued to go up and up and up and up. So it's not going anywhere. And in fact, there's an article that came out May 7th on mining.com, and it said copper prices touched $10,000 again as Goldman Sachs sees a stock out risk. And what that means is that per metric ton, copper price hit over 10,000. That hasn't happened in over 2 years, and we are actually at the beginning of a commodity super cycle, and you're going to start seeing silver, gold, copper, a lot of these things are going to start increasing slowly in price, and there will be spikes at time. Well, when it comes to copper, you can buy these rounds and you can buy these copper bars and things like that, and they're more or less collectible at this point. But what if all this went away? Well, these would become more or less the next silver. These would be the one thing that you could actually get your hands on that actually has value. And if you look at the charts we just talked about and the fact that copper usage continues to go up and up every year, that's something that I think you're going to see more and more possibility of, especially if all the silver that is able to be purchased is just unobtainable. Now, one of the places I would recommend when it comes to copper, and this is something you can buy right now, are copper pennies that are pre-1982. And I'm going to pour out a nice little bag of them, and you can see these are basically the real deal copper pennies that you used to get in your currency. Now, these copper pennies are a 95% copper, okay? And right now, you can get these super cheap on eBay. Some people buy them because they want to go through each different, coin and see, oh, hey, I can find a certain year. And obviously, some years are more collectible than others. And if you have the time and you're limited on funds, this is a great purchase option. One of the things about these copper pennies, though, is you can buy $50 face value in copper pennies right now, and that's around 32 and a half pounds. Now, 32 and a half pounds of copper on the market today is about $150 in melt value. Well, you can buy that $50 face value in pennies right now on eBay for right around $108. So you're talking like $40-$30 back a spot just for the melt value of these pennies. So if you're looking for something to get into from an investment standpoint, you just want to tuck it away, and you don't really have a lot of the money that you could buy silver with. And for example, like these 3 silver rounds, you're talking probably $90, maybe $100 just to buy these, whereas you could buy 32 pounds of pennies for that same $100, give or take. And you've also got the ability to find little numismatic pieces. You might find some rare, pennies in here that you could flip for, anywhere from $5-$10 a piece. So if you're looking at an option for switching to a copper, this might be a pretty good way to go. And frankly, it might be an option down the road that becomes a reality if all this stuff just decides to disappear off the market. So that's kind of the way I've been looking at it. I'm not, thinking this is going to happen next week or next month. But if you look at what's going on with the banks right now, there's a major real estate trader that billionaire trader basically said that he expects to see 1 to 2 bank failures every week moving forward. That's not good. And the banks are what right now are the ones that control the price of this, right? They also control the price of this. Well, if these banks start failing and they start losing the ability to hedge their metals, you might see gold and silver specifically start hitting price points that are just higher and higher and higher and higher. And it might cause a panic in the market to where the retail investor decides to get involved and say, hey, I got to get me some silver. I got to get me some gold. I got to get me some protection because my dollar is inflating. I'm losing value and it's starting to get a little scary out here. Well, if all that silver disappears off the market, you're going to be left with one thing that's easy to get, and that's going to be copper. And copper pennies might be a great way to go. You do have these copper rounds and copper bars and things like that. These are once again, there's a little bit more of a premium on these because these are minted from a company that puts these together. Copper bars are minted by either private or commercial dealers. But if you're looking for something simple, something easy to just buy, it's super cheap. Just get a couple boxes of pennies, keep them in rolls, keep them in bulk, and just stick them away. And if silver decides to take off in price and the copper price that's just touching $10,000 a cubic ton decides to even increase even more and more and more and more, well, what you paid $100 for, you might be able to turn around and sell these for, say, $300-$400 in just a matter of a couple years. And frankly, that's not a bad place to put your money, considering that the US dollar right now is inflating away into almost nothingness. So that's just my opinion on this matter. Obviously, I always say get as much of this stuff right here, silver, as much as you can. Obviously, I'm still a huge fan of Constitutional. These are always a great place to go. 90% silver coins, very recognizable, silver rounds. Great way to buy silver that's super cheap. But if you want to look at getting ahead of the curve, you might want to look at copper and copper pennies. Copper pennies specifically that you can buy right now for under melt. It's a heck of a deal. So I want to thank everyone for taking the time to check out my video. If you have any comments or ideas about what I talked about, please leave them in the comments section below. I really appreciate your feedback. And until next time, we'll see you again.